Oh yeah, peace and blessings, everybody. Hopefully, everybody is well. I'm doing this live. This will be live to respond, of course, to some false information that I'm seeing. This is going to be directed at a specific question about our heritage in this country, and broadly speaking, for all Black people. We have we're seeing a reoccurring debate about whether people are Aboriginal, whether or not our heritage is African, as people who are called Black, African American. This debate is persisting. Is it a real debate? Is it based in anything logical, legitimate? Is the historicity of that question even something that we need to validate? So we're going to go through that today. I'm going to do it relatively quick. I'm going to hit a couple topics. First, I'm going to start off with a video that I seen, very alarming. I want to correct this false information. After the video, I'm going to play the actual law that was misidentified. It's got a lot of misidentified laws and misidentified bills and misidentified books and misidentified paintings. So I'm going to cover that. And after that, we're going to move to the other part of this question, and that pertains to the native tribes. A lot of people are claiming that they have ancestry from indigenous sources, and it's claiming I'm Chickasaw, Cherokee, or Choctaw. Right, these three tribes you keep hearing reoccurring. What is the status of that? Right? What did they think of that? Was that one merged group? We're going to have that discussion. I'm going to hit that today, and I'm going to bring some people on. Hopefully, everybody's well, and we're going to have a little discussion. This will be fun. All right, so we'll get started right now. I'm going to send some invitations out, and then we'll get started. All right, so let's send these invitations out on my YouTube. Okay, and after that, we're going to get started. We're going to have a little discussion. Okay. It's always good to get the mood right. And we'll send these invites out. Hopefully everybody's well. Get the mood right. We're going to hit a little D'Angelo. Peace and Yeah, so to start off with some really alarming video. I seen this on YouTube. This is something that the webbers are pushing out there. They've been kind of running with the white people are the real slaves thing. That's the new thing this year. So I'm going to share this video right now. I want everybody to watch it, and we're going to cover what the actual law is. So this is going to be like, what we do, corrective history. We're going to play the video out. We're going to watch the foolery, and then we're going to actually go through and explain what this law is. Okay? So, at any time, feel free. You can always join. This is a discussion. The key word is this is our historic foundation. So, I share this platform with everybody. This is the community. This is our voice. All right, so I'm going to share this right here. Okay. Right. Okay. And I'm going to all right, so pause that. All right, so let's come back to reality. All right, so I'm going to play that again. This time I'm going to pause the video, let everybody see this foolishness. What's good, bro? Hopefully you're doing well, man. Peace to everybody in the chat. We definitely going to get this platform bigger, I promise. We are going to start small. I think we got 1 or 2 people following. We will get this thing bigger. We will get this community involved. But this right here is something I definitely thought was worthy of mention. I'm going to play it back. I want everybody to, and I'm going to pause it. I'm going to let everybody see something that's noteworthy. Okay, so here it is. Round 2. We're going to play this again. Okay, so that's white slavery. It says white slavery. So this is a collection of bills on a. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna leave it right there. All right. So if you look at this right here, we zoom in. I don't know if I'm allowed to zoom in with this lens. Am I allowed to zoom in? I don't know if I'm allowed to zoom in or not. Zoom in. Hold on, y'all. I don't know. What I really want to do is show exactly what these words are, right? Anybody looks, you can see right here, it is referring to the Mann Act, right? So this right here is slave traffic and the functions of the Bureau with the White Slave Traffic Act. So what the White Slave Traffic Act is something called the Mann Act. All right. It was originally established as a separate record system. The White Slave Traffic Act was incorporated in the filing system, and it goes into explain what that is. And then it goes to explain at the bottom what the actual law consists of. The purpose of this right here, it pertains to prohibition, the transportation of women or girls in the interstate foreign commerce or the purpose of prostitution, debauchery, or immoral purposes. The coercion or enticement of women or girls for this purpose. And this coercion is of enticement of females and minors. So we can see this law specifically pertains to what? Prostitution, human trafficking, of illegal of European immigrants. That's what they're doing. This law literally pertains. I'm so sorry. I'm going to grab me some water. But this law literally pertains to the importation. The trafficking of European immigrants. So I'm going to show that right now and show you what that consists of. So right now, I'm going to share my screen again. All right, so this right here is the actual law, right? It's called the Mann Act. So when you see a Webbo talk about the Mann Act or the White Slave Trafficking Act, this is what they're referring to. All right, the Mann Act, also known as the White Slave Traffic Act of 1910, is a federal law that criminalizes the transportation of any woman or girl for the purposes of prostitution or debauchery or for any other immoral purpose. And it was implemented by a congressman named James R. Mann. It pertains to the prostitution and human trafficking of a lot of these Eastern European women. That's why it was called the white slave trafficking. It has nothing to do with freeing white slaves. But Webbles, I hope you said he can't hear me. Oh God. Okay, so let me see. Let me see. All right, can you hear me now? Hopefully, let me check and see if I can hear myself. So, right now, this is the Mann Act. This right here is what they're pushing out, and they cover it as a white slave trafficking bill, but they don't cover what it consists of. Right? Nobody covers what it consists of. So right now, I'm just going to just check to see if I can hear myself. If I can hear myself, then we're good. All right, but. So hopefully I can hear myself. Just check to see if I can hear myself. Okay, I hear myself fine. All right. So yeah, we gotta monitor. We gotta follow up after these people when they have this information out there. We gotta follow up after them. This right here is what we call the Mann Act. The Mann Act is something that oh, you can hear them when they were playing the video. Okay, all right. All right, so you know what? That's not a too bad of a concern. I mean, know what I can do? I can just hit that play. I'm gonna play that one more time, like for a little second, let you hear that, just so we can get a gist of what they're talking about. I'm gonna try it from a different platform though, and that way, when you hear this stuff, we know how to correct it, and that's the whole reason why I do this. So when they So when these Webbos share this false information as a community, we all know how to correct it quickly, swiftly, to the point. So right now I'm going to share my screen again. And this right here is, once again, what they're putting out there. So we just got to monitor what they're putting out there, monitor the false information. All right, so this right here is it. Let me go to the actual post. Hopefully this plays better than that video. Okay, and then this right here. Let's see if we get some audio. I don't know if we're going to play the YouTube either. We might not be able to play it. I'm sorry. I don't know. All right, well, this is the narrative that they're putting out there. Also, want to hit a couple other things as well. So hopefully somebody heard the first video. I apologize. I we'll put a pin in that. We will revisit that at a later time. Another thing I wanted to share is we hear a lot of people often claim they have tribal status, right? The ancestors are freemen. So we went through that. I've been collecting a lot of data on the constitutions of these tribal nations. And you'll be surprised to find out how often they're using the term African in the language simultaneously with the word Negro, synonymously with the word Negro. And I'm going to share something from the Chickasaw and Choctaw Nation. This is a treaty from 1866. And this is pretty explicit. Lets you know exactly what's happening at that time. The language they're using. Okay. So this right here is pretty specific. Okay. This is the treaty with the Choctaw in agreement with the Chickasaw and the Choctaw Nation, U.S. government after the Civil War. Besides granting amnesty for crimes against U.S. government, the treaty also encouraged the Choctaw and Chickasaw to seek cooperation from Plains Indians to the west. Okay. This is it right here. This is the treaty. This is what it looks like. And it's an 1866 treaty. Okay. So this is the aftermath of the Civil War. And I want to skip down to Article. So Article 4 pertains to the Negro as well. Article 4 speaks about tribal courts in terms of the Negro and how to treat them fairly. I'm going to skip down to Article, I think this is Article 6 that we're going to skip down to though. Okay. Okay, so here we go. That's Article 1. Article 2 needs to be Article 3, right? So I'm going to read Article 3. The Choctaw and the Chickasaw, in consideration of the sum of the $300,000, hereby cede to the United States the territory west of the 98-degree west longitude, known as the Lease District. Okay, let's skip down a little further. Okay, in trust of these lands, in trust of these said nations until the legislature of the Choctaw and Chickasaw nations respectively shall have made such laws, rules, and regulations as it may be necessary to give all persons of African descent resident in the nation at the date of the entry of Fort Smith, and their descendants therefore held in slavery amongst the nations, all the rights and privileges and immunities, including the rights of suffrage of citizens of said nations. So we can clearly see that this is their Declaration of Freedom for these descendants and their future descendants within the nation. So it's written really clear. It's very specific. It's clearly stating these people of African descent and they live amongst them within the nation. So there's often some debates about whether these people are, whether you're black or whether you're of African heritage. And they're clearly distinguishing that people of African heritage were tribal members within this nation. All right, so I'm going to share another one. This is from the Constitution of the Cherokee. All right, so I'll make this a little quick. I know this is a little bit more longish than what I usually cover, but I do think it's important that we get this information out here. All right, so I'm going to share this again. Then we're going to get ready to wrap it up. All right, but I do think it's important that we know the actual history and we steer clear of just hearing these sound bites. We hear these sound bites that nobody can really substantiate, right? So it's dangerous to hear these, and then when it's time to follow up, these people can't follow up. All right, this right here is the the Cherokee Nation Constitution, right? And it goes through all the different laws. Okay. The right one pulled up. Let's see. I know I pulled a lot of stuff up, so this may not be the right exact law. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna reshare this again. I pulled up a lot of stuff. I was doing a lot of research today, so we're going to this exact law, hit this, and then and tie this all together. All right, so this right here is the Cherokee 1828 Constitution. Okay, so let me this document too. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna get this, y'all. All right. Okay. Share. This is it right here. Okay. All right. This is pertaining to. Why is that up? No. Okay. Okay, I apologize. I got it. I had to write one the first time. All right, let me pull this up again. All right. There we go. Okay, this right here. All right, so this is Article 3 of the Cherokee Constitution. I'm going to skip down to Section 4. And here's what it says. It says, no person shall be eligible to a seat in the General Council but a free Cherokee male citizen who shall have attained to the age of 25 years, the descendants of Cherokee men by all free women except the African race whose parents may be or have been living together as a man and wife according to the customs and laws of this nation, shall be entitled to all the rights and privileges of this nation, as well as the posterity of the Cherokee women by all the free men. No person who is of Negro or mulatto parentage, either by father or mother's side, shall be eligible for any office or profit, honor, or trust under this government. Right? So it's clearly laying down, and it's also using the term mulatto, Negro synonymously with the term African. We see this a lot through a lot of these documents. So you'll see this over and over again through these Cherokee documents, the Cherokee Constitution. I've seen this about 4 or 5 times within their documents. So we just got to understand that the 19th century is very, very clear that we're identifying the people of the African race broadly. And since the Cherokee and the so-called civilized nations adopted this European plantation system, they're adopting the same racist hierarchy and caste system. This is my last thing I'll share today. This is really important. This is precedent. There was a debate in the 19th century over what to do with a free black person, person of African heritage, who is in what is called free territory. So that's north of the Mason-Dixon line, all the states from Illinois to Massachusetts. What does the Constitution, how does it pertain to these people, right? So I pulled up his case. This is a landmark Supreme Court case. This is really important because we need to understand precedent. So this right here is a case over a person who lives in what is deemed to be a free state, right? This is landmark case, the most important case of the early to mid 19th century. Scott versus Sanford, with Dred Scott, the plaintiff, versus John A. Sanford. It's an 1856 case. Okay, so let's go down. Let's read something really significant. So this right here is giving us some overview about the context. I think a lot of us know the basic story about Dred Scott. I'll start off with the premise. 1854. So his court case made it to the Supreme Court after going through the Supreme Court of Missouri. And the debate is the plaintiff, Dred Scott, is not a citizen of the United States, a citizen of the state of Missouri, as alleged in his declaration, because a Negro is of African descent. His ancestors were of pure African blood who were brought to this country as Negro slaves. And the said Sanford is ready to verify. So this right here is clearly stating that the state of Missouri is not recognizing him or this case because he's a person of the African race, and these laws don't pertain to him. So now the question is, does this pertain to people broadly for all the states? So the federal government overstepped what Missouri did and make a broad application. All right, that's the reason why it ended in the federal court. All right, so the declaration is a form usually adopted by the state to try to question his description and contains a verb necessary to give court jurisdiction, and that he, the defendant, are citizens of different states, that he is a citizen of Missouri and a defendant of the citizen of New York. Is this the case? The defendant pleaded an abatement that to the jurisdiction of the court that the plaintiff was not a citizen of the state of Missouri, as alleged, being a Negro of African descent whose ancestors are of pure African blood and being brought to this country and sold as slaves. So we're seeing this over and over through the court case as the premise of the discussion. And ultimately, the African heritage is the reason, is the very foundation for their justification of slavery. These people, they argue that Africans were not Christian. They didn't trade with them. They were enemy nations, and therefore they did not need to honor they had no commitment to these people, right? Because they were prisoners of war, because there was an enemy state. There was an enemy nation. We did no business with them. They weren't white people. They didn't have the same common laws, trading practices. So because of that, they gave them license to violate and bring people and traffic abroad. So you'll see this whole entire case is premised on. At the end, they wound up ruling, obviously, that he was not eligible, that this was not within jurisdiction. That his case was not to be seen on the federal level because the states were given the privilege to decide if they wanted to incorporate Black people as citizens, but they were not obliged because the Constitution did not necessarily incorporate Black people as citizens. So since the founders didn't do it, they weren't necessarily expected to do it either. And that's what this whole entire court case is premised off of. So I'm going to go slide down to number. Okay. This also talks about the Indian race, right? So you also got to remember, so they just spoke about the African race. Now they're speaking about the Indian race on 24. All right. So we got to realize and note that distinction that they're discussing an Indian race and an African race, two different groups, two different stories, two different histories that exist contemporaneously with one another. Let's skip down to 30. I think this is 38, and then we're going to close it off. Okay. All right. Okay, so this right here talks about the context in which they captured his ancestors and the reason for them not incorporating them under the Constitution. They have for more than a century been regarded as beings of inferior and altogether unfit to associate with the white race, either in social or political relations, and so far inferior that they had no rights which white men were bound to respect, and that the Negro might just and lawfully be reduced to slavery for his benefit. He was bought and sold and treated as an ordinary article of merchandise and trafficked whenever a profit could be made by it. The opinion was at the time fixed in the universal, in the civilized portion of the white race. It was regarded with the axiom of morals as well as in politics, which no one thought of disputing. Supposed to open to dispute, and men in every grade and position in society daily habitually acted upon it in private pursuits, as well as in matters of public concern, without debating for a moment the correctness of this opinion. So they're saying all these people were racist, and therefore we were racist. But ultimately, the counter argument was 5 states did sort of recognize Black people as free people at the time. So that was the debate at the time. I'm going to read these last 2 sections. And in no nation was the opinion more firmly fixed and more uniformly acted upon by the English government than by the English people and the English government and the English people. They not only seized upon them on the coast of Africa and sold them or held them in slavery for their cause, but they took them as ordinary articles of merchandise to every country where they could make profit on them, and were far more extensively engaged in this commerce than any other nation in the world, which is not necessarily true, but Portugal was the first, but that's what they believed at the time. The opinion thus entertained and acted upon in England was naturally impressed upon the colonies, and they found on the side of the Atlantic. The opinion entertained and acted in England was naturally impressed upon the colonies. They found it upon this side of the Atlantic. And accordingly, a Negro of the African race was regarded by them as an article of property and held and bought and sold in every one of the 13 colonies, which united in Declaration of Independence and afterwards formed the Constitution of the United States. The slaves were more or less numerous in different colonies. And slavery was less found more or less profitable. But no one seems to have doubted the correctness of the prevailing opinion at the time. All right, so that's the close of that. We just need to be honest about what we're seeing in terms of this is the historic context. This is a very racist country. We need to understand the barriers that our ancestors went through, the experiences that they went through, so we can understand the context. We can understand they were locked out of opportunity. They were locked out of generational wealth. Yes, there was a system of indentured servants. Indentured servants often came voluntarily. 80% of the indentured servants came to this country. Yep, something a lot of people don't want to hear. But indentured servants, 80% of these indentured servants came voluntarily. They came to seek opportunity, because the thing about it was, even though they did have to serve for a duration and live under the most gruesome circumstances, there was a window at the end of that. It was a rainbow at the end of that tunnel, and their trip was paid for to the country. They were allotted land. They often grew to be just as wealthy as some of the people that owned them. Right? There was opportunity at the end of that. And then because we moved forward a race-based slave system, once they served their indenture covenant, they were now treated as free white men. They were landowners. They were able to participate in the government. They were allowed all of those rights. So yes, they did participate in that system of slavery. But the thing about it was how slavery impacts generational wealth is always the concern, and that's always the debate. And the fact that our ancestors were not able to invest in their children. They were not able to invest in their youth. They were not able to invest in opportunities for themselves because of discrimination. And this right here is our real claim and our real gripe. Because once that European indenture covenant was fulfilled, he was now honored under the Constitution. And it was not legal for him to be a slave at a certain point in time anyway. Because this country moved totally forward with first felons. It became a penal system in 1711 under something called the Transportation Act. And after that, it moves forward with exclusively a race-based system. By the start of the Constitution, it's only about 1% of the labor force is indentured servants. So we totally moved towards a race-based slave system, which is obviously far more profitable for them because they don't have to give those slaves up. They don't have to worry about other commitments. They're going to inherit all their children. And by being black means you are a vessel for European use, a property, something they can use and exploit like livestock. That race-based slave system fundamentally reshaped this country and helped this country really become exponentially wealthy in a way an indentured service system can never do. Even though it was exploitive, race-based slavery is the foundation, and we just need to be honest about that. And then we also see within that it's a whole entire part that pertains to Indians and their experience. Totally unique, totally different. So we just got to be honest about this history. I just wanted to touch this. I thought it was some really significant stuff. I think tomorrow I'm going to hit another video. This video is going to pertain to the unique story of the Yamasee Seminole Nations and their unique African and indigenous merging of culture. You see the people's faces. You can see both the indigenous, you can see both the African, a lot of these people in their culture. This is part of their oral tradition. So not a lot of people, the Webbos, keep saying these are Aboriginals. And their oral tradition is honoring that my ancestry is traced back to the coast of Florida, the Africans, but it's also a story of indigenous tribes who moved northward to Georgia. It's a very unique story. It's a very beautiful story, but it's two different cultures merge, and they recognize that. So we just got to keep these people accountable, hold them accountable. We can't let them get away with this stuff. I think we got to preserve our ancestor stories. Read these comments. And James Haynes' book. Okay, all right. That sounds good. I want to check that out. Next time I join on. If I do bring it up and you happen to be on, I'll bring you up and let you talk about it. On that note, we're just going to hold these people accountable. I'm going to do my last thing. Let's expose the gimmick. Let's share this right here. This is something called the... Got it up. Hold on. Here we go. So Wikipedia post. All right. This is it. All right. So when you hear him say this, remember that is called the Mann Act. So for Webbo says USC 2421, they're referring to white slave trafficking. It is the Mann Act of 1910. It is not pertaining to freeing white slaves. It has nothing to do with plantation labor. It makes it a felony to exploit a woman for the use of sexual profit, prostitution, debauchery, or any other immoral purpose. So it pertains to human trafficking. It has nothing to do with white people being a labor force. It's a straight gimmick. They just straight out lie. They showed this thing real quick and then didn't pause it and read it. They just showed it to the people and said, look, white slaves, look. And then just roll right past it, and they get away with this stuff. So, I mean, hopefully we get the word out. We communicate to everybody. This is some false information. This is the accurate information. On that note, everybody, y'all have a good night. Hopefully get the word out about this discussion. This platform will get bigger, I promise, and the videos will become more glamorous in time. On that note, everybody, have a good night. And, be safe. I'm going to share with D'Angelo.